If you live in a place where you get even some electricity from nuclear power, for more than 30 years, whether you realize it or not, you have been paying a tax to find a place to store waste from your nuclear plant safely. How much are we talking about?
The government is sitting on a pool of about $25 billion.
That, with interest, is now worth $30 billion with a B. And where's the money now, and what is it being used for?
But the government is sitting on it, and they're not doing what we're paying them to do.
And that money is earning interest about $1 billion a year, and some of it is being used for program costs, according to the Department of Energy. But the idea was to use all of it to store the nation's nuclear waste in a bleak spot in the Nevada desert called Yucca Mountain. So how much nuclear waste has been stored in Yucca Mountain? Not a single ounce. The nuclear waste has been going nowhere. Nuclear power plants in the U.S. have been doing what Japan has been doing. Instead of storing the waste in this multi-billion-dollar, scientifically studied waste depository in Nevada, the waste is being stored right where it's being created, on site at nuclear plants across the country. 2 years ago, when we first reported this story, it was easy for Nevada Senator Harry Reid to tell us nuclear waste was safer right where it was.
Leave it on site where it is. You don't have to worry about transporting it. It saves the country billions and billions of dollars.
But Japan's crisis has even Democrats wondering if Harry Reid's effort to keep nuclear waste out of his state is really safer.
I truly believe we must begin to rethink how we manage spent fuel.
If this were a real fuel assembly, it would be 13 feet long, and it would weigh over 1,000 pounds.
This is what that waste looks like. This is a mock-up of a fuel rod assembly, a tightly engineered package of steel tubes coated with a zirconium alloy that protects the highly radioactive uranium pellets inside. Except for the height, it's the same as a real fuel rod.
Even when the fuel is taken out of the reactor, radioactive decay continues. The fuel rods continue to generate a great deal of heat, and they also generate a great deal of radioactivity.
Kevin Crowley directs nuclear and radiation studies for the National Academy of Sciences. And from his research, he knows how dangerous these spent fuel rods could be in the event of attack or natural disaster.
There is no such thing as zero risk in any technology.
In his office in downtown Washington, Attorney Jay Silberg is very much aware of that danger. Silberg represents many of the nation's nuclear utilities who have been suing the federal government to try to force it to pay for continued storage on plant sites, suing the feds to pay for what he says the government should have sorted out years ago.
Well, the government, unfortunately, has made it more of a mess than it should have been. The program, when it was set up, was supposed to be science-based. Millions, billions of dollars have been spent in studying Yucca Mountain. I refer to it as the most studied piece of rock in the world.
The latest pictures CNN has of that most studied piece of rock are from 2002. We wanted to go back there to show you what's going on at Yucca Mountain now, but the government, citing safety, said no. Members of Congress say they, too, are being kept out. That despite not an ounce of nuclear waste on the property.
But because of what is happening right now in Japan, and because the same conditions exist here, the Yucca Mountain closure that seemingly was a complete done and sealed deal is being rethought, because everyone now realizes the dangers of all this waste, Elliot, in so many potentially dangerous areas around the country. You have to do something.
You know, it's been horrific what's happened over in Japan at so many levels. What it has also generated is sort of one of those educational moments. We all look at nuclear power plants. We used to worry about meltdown. The active reactor could go bad. Dangerous radioactivity spewing all over. Now we're understanding these spent fuel pools could be at least as great a risk.
Right, and it's the not-in-my-backyard syndrome, which is why those fuel rods stay where they are, which is why the plant in Tokyo or in Japan has 6 reactors at the same spot.
That's right.
Just keep piling it on the same place that's already been approved. That is not going to work out. That's not going to be a politically viable solution based on what's happened in Japan.
Yeah, NIMBYism gone wild, and we need an answer somehow, somewhere, given that we already have 104 nuclear power plants in the nation, even if we don't build anymore,
right,
which we're not right now.
We have the waste.
All right.